Fuck this microphone. Why?
Oh my god. Punching early.
What happened? No, too early for that.
Too early for punch.
It just keeps
My
slipping.
fucking mouse.
Wow, we're having mouse issues. We're having
Microphone.
microphone.
Hello and welcome to Way Too Broad, a show and tell program for really, really ridiculously, I don't know, what are we this week? Overwhelmed with news grown-ups. Not even just national news, just like the amount, and we'll get into it. Anyway, I'm Hannah, and these are my co-hosts, Erin and Ben. Hi, Erin.
Hello, Hannah. For some reason, I was confused when you said co-host because I was expecting you to say cousins, which, like, A, I'm your only cousin in this podcast, and B, is not ever what you say. Hi, Ben.
Hello, cousin.
I can say hi, cousins. Hi, cousins.
Hello.
Nice. Maybe you should do the intro, and then you could say, I'm Erin, and these are my cousins, Hannah and Ben.
Cousins. Co-hostins.
Ben's always last because of juniority.
Which is a word that we now know.
Yeah. I thought I made it up, and it turns out I didn't. So
There you go.
there you go. Well, this day has been crazy. I have so many up front, so let's find out what
Exciting.
everyone's drinking. Shall we?
Yeah, you first, yeah?
Yes. I have like a half a glass of water, and I have some iced tea.
Ooh.
Which we bought thinking it was unsweetened because we live in the north and it had no markings at all, and came in you would think if it was sweetened that it would say it was sweetened, but it didn't. And yet when we tasted it, it's definitely like, it's not like sweet tea, but it's like slightly sweetened tea, which is like the most confusing thing to me.
I hate that.
Like, yeah, be one or be the other.
Right.
Like, what is this doing for me?
Throw a
So anyway, we've
stake
been
in the
working our way through it.
ground.
Yeah.
That recalls to my mind a time when you were in the South. We were on our way to Savannah and we stopped for fast food, and you were ordering a tea, and you're like, and I'll have a tea, and I was like, I think I was ordering for all of us, and you're like, I'll have a tea, and I was like, I'll have a tea. Hannah, that's gonna be sweet. And you're like, unsweet, just because, like, in the South, obviously, if you order a tea, a hundo sweeto.
Yeah. Hundo Sweeto, yeah. It's an interesting thing. A lot of places, I feel like there's like a section between like all the way north and all the way south where people will ask you to specify always. Mm-hmm. But then like once you get as far south as like Savannah, which I think is where we were, it's like unsweet tea may not even be an option
Even
and will not be offered.
Even here, even here, you're not gonna, at a fast food restaurant, it's always gonna be sweet here in Durham. Yeah. I do not like sweet tea, so I am on your side.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love an unsweet tea. I just think it's
so
great. And also, I don't
refreshing.
think I can taste tannins either. Like people like when they overbrew a tea, they're like, "Oh, it's making my mouth feel dry."
Yeah.
I've never had that experience. In my life.
I like that. I can tell about that, but I like it. So
Yeah, I always
Fuck
steep my
that.
teas a little longer.
yeah.
I just leave a tea bag in there till I'm done because it makes no
don't do
difference to my
that.
palate at all.
'Cause,
I
like,
eat it when I'm done.
Well, I bathe in it and then I eat it, so I'm more hardcore
Well, that's pretty hardcore.
and disgusting.
What'd you
Yeah.
say, Ben?
green tea, if you steep it for too long, gets like really, really bitter and gross.
Erin doesn't like green tea anyway.
I don't generally. I like it like if it's like an iced green tea. Like we have one that has like grapefruit juice or like mangosteen. Is that a thing? And I think that can be
Mangosteen?
nice. Yeah, is that right?
Mangosteen is a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's a
It's a Jewish
mangosteen.
grapefruit. I mean, mango. It's a bad joke, and I did it poorly.
Wait, what did you say? I missed it.
She said it's a Jewish grapefruit. Just like, what the fuck?
It's like
Bradley Corner. Wow, I love that so much. I was like, oh, because I don't know what it is. I was like, oh.
How do you spell it?
J-E-U. J-E-U.
Oh, mangosteen is a different kind of fruit.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, I was confused. I thought you were saying it was like a kind of juice or drink that was made from mangoes.
Oh. No, it's a fruit.
It looks kind of like a lychee.
Yeah, and it kind of almost tastes like one, too. I mean, in my mind, I kind of lump it in to that kind of, like, delicate but delicious, kind of popping, like, pops in the mouth.
Poppy, like...
Some words are just not great for, like, describing flavors.
It looks fake.
Pop
it looks really
is
fake.
One of them. I'm just discovering.
Fake.
Hold on, I gotta look this up. This is chaos. We've developed the chaos.
Like, the leaves on the top look fake as hell. It looks like...
this shit is fake as hell.
I do not believe in mangoes.
Yeah, hey, join the club. I believe in mangoes, I wonder if it's in the same family as lychee.
It is not. It's not even in the same order. It's in the same clade.
Wow. Well, anyway, I like it when it's in a tea, a green tea, and I'll drink it iced.
Cool.
So under those conditions, I can enjoy green tea.
Okay, cool.
There it is.
Erin, what are you drinking?
Well, I'm drinking an iced water and a decaf coffee, which I'm enjoying very much.
Nice. Ben, what you drinking?
I got 2 big-ass cups of ice water with plenty of ice, baby. Because my new fridge has got an ice maker.
Yay!
Hurrah!
Fuck yeah.
Wow.
Let's talk about your new fridge and also all the stuff around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah.
I moved.
Yay!
Woo!
Wow, what house / what residence are you at, like, in the life of the podcast? 4?
5.
Wow, nice.
Because we recorded the very first episode when I was still in a dorm.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
In my junior year of college, I believe.
He didn't have...
Possibly senior. No, it was senior year. No, it was junior year. It was junior year.
Hold on. Yeah, okay.
It was in 2017. It was in, like, spring of 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, because you used to tell us about your classes and stuff.
Yep.
Wow.
And then
we used to be like, boring.
I moved to an apartment in Boston and then moved to California, so that's 3. And moved back to Boston and then moved to a different part. Well, not technically in Boston anymore, but next to it.
You lived at a different place when you were in California too.
Oh, so this is 6. Yeah, this is 6.
That's incredible. Wow. How fucking tired of moving are you?
Oh my god, you can't even imagine. I'm so
I can't.
Like we didn't get to actually see this place until, was it last week? No, that can't be right. Is that right?
You tell us, bucko.
Yes, that's right. We didn't actually get to see this place in person until I think last Wednesday, so a little over a week ago. And so we were like a little nervous because we really didn't want to move again. I mean, from the videos and the pictures, it looked really nice and like a place we could see ourselves being in for a while. And then we got here and it like is as good as we thought.
Nice.
/ possibly better. There are like a few little things. Wow. It's like an old building, so like some like drawers and cabinets that are like need a little bit of fixing, but like nothing super major. And it's just overall very nice and very big, and I'm really excited to...
Hell yeah.
We have like 2 of the rooms came with like an air conditioner installed kind of like into the wall. Mm-hmm. And there's like ceiling fans in a lot of rooms, whereas like in our other... God, it's just so much better than the last one we just lived in. Like the air was so stagnant there, and we have like views of trees on both sides. Like... And also the window, like, there are, like, a bunch of little things that, like, we didn't even notice when we first saw it, but, like, are just, like, extra pluses. Like, the windowsills are really wide, so the cats can, like, sit on the windows really easily and just, like, watch birds in the trees.
Nice.
It's just great. We have a dining room, which we haven't really had ever. And our bedroom is fucking huge, and our living room is fucking huge.
Hell yeah.
We just cooked for the first time tonight, made curry. The stove's great. So much cabinet space because we actually have a pantry this time. Nice. So we, like, don't have to put food in all of our cabinets. I'm just excited. The cats really like it too so far because, like I mentioned, there are a lot of trees, a lot of birds. We saw, like, a cardinal right next to the window the other day. It's just great. I'm very happy that we're here.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
The moving was a lot because we decided to move. So we had a moving company move, like, our big furniture. But we decided to move as much as possible ourselves to save money on the moving company because it's, like, based on how long it takes for them to move it. It's, like, by the hour. So that was a lot of going up and down stairs because this is on the 3rd floor and there's no elevator.
Wow.
So that took forever. And we have a small car, so we did a lot of trips back and forth from the other apartment bringing stuff. But we, like, finally finished that yesterday, getting the last of everything, and, like, finished cleaning the other apartment today. So we're, like, out of there entirely and just focusing on, like, unpacking and getting settled here, which is really good. Yeah. We have a screened-in porch. Como loves it.
Oh, my God. Screened-in porches are the best.
Yeah.
Well, congrats, Ben.
Thanks.
So glad this one worked out. I was so worried for you guys when you, like, it was so frustrating to have to apartment hunt from California without being able to walk into the apartments. And then you, like, had the same fucking situation in the same city you were in because of coronavirus. Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous. I have a correction to start with. I have been thinking about this for, like, 2 or 3 weeks, like, pretty much since, like, the day after we did the little short episode where we said, like, go listen to Black Voices this week. One of the so let's call this segment apologizing to smart Black people who will never hear our apology. I mentioned for Harriet, who is a creator named Kim, who has a YouTube channel that I've since been watching regularly, but had only watched a couple videos at that point. And at the time I said that she did Get Ready With Me's and talked about things, which, like, she 100% doesn't do. Like, I have followed, like, I follow several creators who do Get Ready With Me's and talk about all kinds of things, like, very deep philosophical things, and also, like, you know, tea stuff, like, you know, in the slang sense of tea.
I don't know
but she's not one of them.
Get Ready With Me is.
It's like, generally it's like someone who, is, like, talking about whatever the topic of the video is, but they're putting their makeup on the whole time. So you're like watching them put on makeup, but they're just talking about, like, some topic.
Okay. Cool.
So she doesn't do them. She does, like, just direct to camera, a lot of, like, extremely well researched, like, smart videos on, like, a lot of different topics, mostly related to, like, Black feminist ideology. She's, like, super smart, on many, many, many topics. And she also, you had asked me, Erin, at the time, what I knew about why her channel was called For Harriet. I didn't know anything, but I haven't heard her speak on it specifically, but based on her Patreon, which I'm now a member of, I'm pretty sure that it's because of Harriet Tubman, because her tiers for Patreon are Angela's, like, with a picture of Angela Davis, Rosa's with a picture of Rosa Parks, Ida with a picture of Ida B. Wells. That's my tier. I'm an Ida. And Fannie Lou's and Harriet's, and Harriet being, like, the top one. And it's a picture of Harriet Tubman. So I think it's basically, like, part of her whole goal is, like, to uplift not just, like, Black women of today, but Black women of, like, all of history, pretty much. So But yeah, everybody should, recently also, she's been doing interviews with a lot of the authors that have been on the top selling, book lists for their anti-racism books. So she's interviewed Ibram Kendi, and she's interviewed the guy who wrote The End of Policing that we've talked about a couple times.
Nice. Not Beyond Policing. That's not
Not Beyond Policing. And also another incredibly smart academic who's written a couple books that I ordered, but I don't remember her name right now. But just like, she's doing really great things, and her Patreon is also well worth it. Like, she's putting a lot of effort into it, and I just wanted to like honor that because I've been like, you know, enjoying it a lot.
Dope.
So yeah, and appreciating her.
Cool.
So okay, let's see. Oh, and then also, do we want to talk about, I kind of feel compelled to talk about Elijah McClain also.
Go for it.
Okay. So, actually, I just learned this before we started recording. The actual incident where Elijah McClain was killed actually happened in August of last year.
Really?
So it's been gaining attention now, but it wasn't that recent. But yeah, there wasn't you know, I think the discourse is always interesting when it's so Elijah McClain, for anybody who doesn't know, was this like, he was like maybe 20.
He was young, and
he was really young, and he was like walking home from somewhere, and he had like a ski mask on.
Something like that?
Yeah, and he was listening to music, and he had a ski mask on because he wore one like to protect his like throat, because he had like a sensitive throat, and he seemed like the like sweetest guy. The thing that is going around is how like he used to play violin for the cats at the animal shelter, which is just like so sweet. And yeah, the cops just like came up on him and fucking like killed him for no reason. like just no reason. Like, there's not been any reason presented for why they even were bothering him in the first place. He was like dancing to music, walking home. So, and like the discourse has been interesting because he's like one of those stories where it's like people talk a lot about how sweet he was, and I think it is important to highlight that like that's not what makes him worthy of being alive today. Like, what makes him worthy is that he's a human being. But I think people emphasize it with the best of intentions because it really helps to highlight like how there's no logic and no sense to like who people with unchecked power will choose to use it on. Mm-hmm. So I've been thinking on him a lot, and if people haven't heard about that case, you should look into it.
Gosh, I didn't realize it happened so long ago.
Yeah. He seemed very sweet.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really get much sweeter than playing violin for shelter cats.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else have upfront stuff? I have a whole list, so I don't want to just keep going and going.
I don't think I have any upfronts. I can give an update on the fat cats for those who were following along last week. So, so I guess I left off last week where coming into the weekend, and I was excited to gaze at them and kind of watch where they went. So we started out with 8. I now realize I was always oscillating between like, are there 7 or are there 8? Sometimes I think I would count 8, and then sometimes I would really only see 7, and so I kind of convinced myself that I was seeing like 1 twice. But in the end, we tracked 8. So all 8 went to be chrysalises, and we were able to see where all of them went. Ants ate 4 of them, which is unfortunate. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. But the other 4 have been totally safe, and they look like they're thriving. There's 2 green ones, 2 brown ones, and I check on them several times a day. So right now, it's not very eventful. Huh?
What's the difference between green one and brown ones?
I don't think there's any difference. I think it's just some are green, some are brown.
Oh, that's cool.
Some green, some brown.
Hey, I have a question for you, now that you're a caterpillar expert.
Yeah, what's up?
What's the difference between a chrysalis and a cocoon?
So I asked Molly this, because she's, the science lady, and she says the cocoon implies something external. So, bees cocoon, because, right, they, go into the little honeycomb, right? But a chrysalis is, part
it's like
of
how
you.
we talked about how, they shed their outer thing and the chrysalis is underneath.
Yeah, and it's
gotcha.
Boom. Chrysalis, bitch.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
I didn't know that.
Kind of boring now. I don't have any fat caterpillar buddies to gaze at. It's been pretty quiet. I just look at the chrysalises and wait. I just wait.
That'll be exciting, though, when they come out. How long are they supposed to be in there?
10 to 20 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So one has definitely been in for over a week. So I expect that one to hatch soon-ish.
Erin, what's the difference between a chrysalis and an egg?
No difference. No difference.
That's cool. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, so it's been a little lonely without him, but, that's how it goes.
Aw.
Yeah. I miss him. Yeah, when I opened Slack just now to look at the picture you sent, it was scrolled up to the video I had sent Ben, and I was like, oh, look at those babies. I miss them. Wow. Remember when they were just lively little creatures that I'd go out and spend some time with?
And they'll never be that again, and that's probably how our
Yeah.
parents felt when we stopped being cute,
Yeah, well, they'll pop out. I know that was a diss, but I'm choosing to ignore it. They'll pop out, and then they'll only be, I think they'll only be butterflies for a few days. So.
Yeah, you had said that.
So, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Fat rude.
But that's all.
It is. Well, we have an email.
Email.
2 upfronts and an email still left before we pop in. So, do we want to do the email first, or do we want to do, the death of all beautiful things on YouTube?
Wow.
Let's do the email.
Yeah, wow, so hard to pick.
Okay. All right, this is from Aunt Brown. Shout outs.
What up?
I just noticed every time she emails us, she also CCs Uncle Brown, which is kind of cute.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's one step away from having a joint email address. It's nice.
Joint Facebook. Mm-hmm. All right, let's see. Childhood as a white child in upstate New York is the subject line of this email. So, get ready for another personal story of how systemic racism shaped the lives of our parents. Here we go.
I'm ready.
Okay. So, one of the things that comes through loud and clear when you listen to Seeing White, which, that's great to hear you listening to Seeing White, or just learning more daily about the mechanisms of systemic racism, is how insidious it all is. So I've been thinking on my early years. I grew up in a rural part of Dutchess County, New York, and also lived in England between ages of 5 to 7. Don't really remember even... I guess I should say what years that was, because it's important for context. When she lived in England, it was 1962 to 64. So, don't really remember even encountering many people of color, nor do I recall much overt racism. But then the whole situation was built on structured racism, but I was unaware of that at the time. In fact, most people I knew were white families whose dads worked for IBM. There was one black family I knew whose daughter went to high school with me. I remember being thrilled to meet someone whose father did not work for IBM. He worked for the post office. No working women either, you'll note. Yeah.
Can I? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt the email. I just don't want to forget. Can I tell a really quick anecdote about a funny thing that happened earlier this week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kylie was saying how we need to contact the post office to forward our mail to the new address. But when she said it out loud, she was like, "Oh, we need to reach out to the U.S. Postal Service to forward our mail." And so now, every time we say it, we're like, "Oh, I need to talk to the United States Postal Service."
I love that. That makes me think, just like tangentially, that when I was signing up for Hulu, for some reason, I typed in like Erin M. Brown as like my name, and so when it's like who's watching, it's like Molly or Erin M. Brown. So we're always like, what show do we set this under? Molly or Erin M. Brown?
Can't you change that? I mean, why would you?
Why would I? I'm going to change it to United States Postal Service.
Yeah, I think that's the next big thing. Like, the last thing was like shorten every word, like Molly Baz, but now it's like, no, lengthen everything. Yeah, I think that's good. We got time.
Also, there's something really fucking funny about, we need to reach out to the United States.
We laughed for so long about it.
We need to extend correspondence to the United States Postal Service to inform them of our recent...
It was one of those moments where someone, immediately realizes how weird the thing they just said was. She, said it, was like, wait, what the fuck did I say?
Oh, that's so good. Okay. Back to this email.
Okay. Weirdly, when we moved to England, I was lightly bullied / excluded by neighborhood...
you missed a paragraph. You missed a whole fucking paragraph. It looks important as well.
Okay. Okay. The dad worked for the post office. No working women in either family. There was a lot of civil unrest and rioting and war going on throughout my preteen and teen years. Disturbing and unsettling, but I have observed it all against a rather bucolic background, and I was still pretty young. The Vietnam War was a horrific drumbeat with images of that war around us daily. I was 12 when Woodstock happened and 9 when the Black Panthers were founded. And there they were, very militaristic looking and presented by the white media. 8 when the Watts riots happened. I don't even know what that is. My world felt very small and vulnerable. Maybe like living in a crystal bubble with cracks beginning to show. When it shatters, you get out, but where do you go? But where are you? That's not what that even says. Okay. The text is kind of small for me right now. I'm having glasses problems today.
Make it bigger. Hannah adds her own artistic flair to these emails. It's evidenced by her completely turning Uncle Brown's email into a fucking Lin-Manuel Miranda rap that made me lose my shit.
I just need to. I don't know how to make the text bigger.
Command plus. Control plus.
Okay. Well, that's not great. Okay, wait. Okay. Can I tell you, today my glasses are hurting me. Not, in the back, where they touch my head, they're hurting me. Like they're too tight, but they've never been too tight before. Is my head swelling? What's happening?
Your skull's getting bigger. All of this new anti-racism material that you've been consuming is making your skull grow.
All right, let's see. Okay, I'm sorry. Now I've lost my way completely. Okay. Maybe living in a crystal bubble with cracks beginning to show. When it shatters, you get out, but where are you? Yeah, I made it rhyme again, didn't I? Where do you go?
It's going to take 20 years to get through this fucking email.
I know. Okay, exhilarating, but also scary, and we were still worrying about being nuked by Russia. Weirdly, when we moved to England, I was lightly bullied / excluded by neighborhood kids because of my American accent. Probably my first exposure to being other. It worked out eventually. While in England, I remember going to a minstrel show in London. Wow. So that's lots of white people performing in blackface in, say, 1963.
Wow.
Big theater, popular show. I recall enjoying it. It was called the Black and White Minstrel Show, and it appears to have run until 1972 at the prestigious Victoria Palace Theater. And then there's a Wikipedia link to the Black and White Minstrel Show. While in England, I was introduced to Rupert the Bear, a very popular cartoon and graphic adventure novel for kids. It featured a gollywog character I didn't think twice about this and even had a Gollywog doll. I've seen that doll. People didn't seem to give this a second thought, and the racist nature of the Gollywog doll depiction still escapes people, and its harm is hotly debated. It's beloved, and there were also Rupert's exciting adventures with a castaway with the Coons. Yeah, there's a picture of those. It's not great. It's about as bad as you would expect it to be. I still own this book. If you're not familiar with Gollywogs, a quick Google search will enlighten you. They basically both look like blackface characters. So yeah, that's not great.
That's not good.
Looking back, I would say that my emerging perceptions were of a world trying to present a bland, very good face, but if you scratch the surface, it felt fragile and wrong, like a veneer. The weirdest crack in this veneer stateside was offered courtesy of the Fresh Air Fund, basically a charity that exists to offer inner-city poor, rid, black and brown children a chance to be outdoors through camps and outings. Each summer, busloads of black children would arrive at Barrett State Park, which was within biking distance of my home, to use the large pool there. This was a minor annoyance to my neighborhood group because it made it harder to use the pool in the summer because it was so crowded and so other. There was a sense of invasion. This was ours, and why were they here? It wasn't entirely about race, but the underlying conditions made it so much about race. And it may have been the first time I understood that not everyone had what I had. Looking back, it's really horrific to consider that these little slivers of white privilege were offered as noble and good and charitable. Look, poor child, we have this all the time. Here's just a taste for you. Yeah. It was all quite well-meaning, and this organization still exists. I just really have to question the underlying messaging and outcomes. I'd be interested in your reactions. It is all feeling quite cringeworthy and wrong at the moment. Sorry to go on, but hopefully I've provoked discussion. Thanks for listening, and love as always. And then there's her full name and phone number, as usual.
Courtesy of the United States Postal Service.
We need to reach out to the United States Postal Service.
United States Email Service.
You know, the I don't even want to say the word again, but the thing, I mean, I think Gollywog, if you looked it up, probably also has, like, the name probably has racist origins, too. But, like, the other thing that is, like, still a racist term for black people in America, that Rupert met with, mom included a capture, like a screen capture from one of those books, and it's awful. I think they have 3 eyes I'm seeing, but they have, like, really completely black heads, really big pink lips, and they have, like, instead of hair, they have, like, kind of like spikes sticking out of their head. Yeah, it's just like wildly racist. Yeah. Like, man, oh man.
Wow, that's incredible that was just like a part of her childhood. Just like,
I know,
a full-blown part of her childhood.
I just really want to thank both Aunt Brown and Uncle Brown for sharing these experiences with us, because I think it shows a lot of like recent self-reflection. And I also think, like, it's a little bit embarrassing to talk about, probably, even though, like, you guys were kids. But I think it's, like, helpful because it really, really shows, like, how systemic these things are. Like, these beliefs don't come from nowhere, and they don't just come from people's families, like, not doing enough or being racist. Like, it's all over the place, you know?
Yep. Yeah, and it's a good reminder of, like, even for people our age to think about, like, that overt racism stuff. Obviously, it's still happening, but just as part of like, an everyday life sort of thing. You know, it happened as recently as, like, your childhood. Like, people that we know, right? Like, that's crazy, too.
It's also, I think, a good reminder, because a lot of those things she mentioned were, like, cultural elements, like stage shows and stories and things, and it's part of why we talk a lot about representation nowadays is not, it's not just for like people to see themselves on screen. Obviously that's part of it. And like, it like makes people of color and queer people feel better to watch shows where like they're represented in them. But it also is like about making those stories more pervasive in the culture, because that's like a very powerful way to sort of fight back against white supremacy.
The way they've been, and the way, and like the incredibly poor and inaccurate and offensive representation that was all there was in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's super true. Yeah, I think it probably would benefit all of us to look back on our... I mean, I can remember some cringeworthy things I did because I didn't know any better, like, even up to college. I mean, I'm sure I still... We all still do them. But, like, it's... It takes takes effort to even remember all that stuff. So it's good to think about it.
Yeah.
Speaking of owning up to past mistakes, I suppose... Well, no, never mind. I'm going to talk about that later. Want to give a big fuck you to Bon Appetit and fucking Condé Nast for suspending Matt Hunziker for no reason.
Wow.
Because he, like, we were like, I don't know if we said it on the we didn't really talk about the Bon Appetit thing on the podcast, but
we did not have time.
We didn't have time. It was like that 2-hour episode and we still weren't able to talk about it. But there was like huge reckoning at Bon Appetit and all stemming from the fact that they were just like blatantly, well, there were a few things that happened, but like they just, Sola speaking out and saying they weren't paying her for any of her video appearances and they were paying all the white people for their video appearances. And turned out, like, if you've watched the Making Perfect series, Claire, Brad, Carla, all of them were paid to do that, like, completely collaborative group project. Molly, guess who wasn't? Sola and Christina, who's Korean. Like, That's so fucking ridiculous. Everyone puts in a ton of work for that project. That's like inexcusable. But anyway, one of the first, and I would say like most vocal white people who still works there who was speaking out about it was Matt Hunziker. And now, lo and behold, not only has Bon Appetit hired to help them like deal with this thing, not only have they hired lawyers who specialize in like anti-union activities, but they've also suspended Matt Hunziker, and they will not say why. They did it today.
Wow.
What the fuck?
I think we know why.
I have a feeling they're trying to unionize. That's my... I would bet they're trying to unionize.
Don't give it away.
I mean it like,
You're blowing up their spot.
If I was even remotely involved in it, I certainly wouldn't say a thing. But the reason I wanted to specifically to mention it was I've been through what it takes to build a union drive. It takes years and years of effort, and most of the work has to be done in secret because you can't let people know that you're doing it. Like management know, because it's not illegal for them to try to, it can't be proven that they did anything illegal by trying to stop you until you've gone public. But if you go public without enough support, if you haven't talked to enough people, then your vote will fail. So it's a very, very delicate balance. But I wish when we did go public with it and Plymouth Plantation started fighting against us. I mean, I can say that it was Plymouth Plantation because it was like, I think I even talked about it on the podcast at the time, but it was like in the news a little bit. But I wish there had been more coverage of it. And I wish that people who were members or people who were potential customers for them had been more vocal. So I want to be vocal. Whether or not they're unionizing, I think they should, honestly, because clearly like Condé Nast still thinks this bullshit is okay. But like, or that they're going to get away with it anyway. But like, they need our support. And certainly in this sort of, I want anyone who hasn't, please, anyone who hasn't unsubscribed from Bon Appetit at this moment in time to please do it. Because they don't deserve I'm
actually doing it right fucking now. It took me forever to find, it's been on my list to do ever since the Sola stuff landed. But no thank you, just cancel my subscription. But I just haven't done it yet. And, oh my gosh, the way, it's so fucking opaque, the way that they have you do this.
Yeah.
All right, my subscription is, in fact, canceled.
And, that's a good point. I actually was thinking about YouTube, but the magazine, too. Like, they need to feel the pain for it.
I was actually giving them my money, and I'm no longer doing that.
Good job. Way to go, Erin.
And I'll unsub from YouTube. That's a good point.
Awesome. I really hope we can resub someday, but I certainly would also support a spin-off channel with all the people that we love building their own stuff in a different kitchen.
Yep. Same. Wow, that's so sad. I mean, in the realm of things that are sad these days, it's not that sad, but just like, you know, it's always upsetting. It's always a disappointment to find out that your faves are problematic. And Bon Appetit always felt a little too good to be true. You're just always just like, oh, this content is so good and pure, and it just makes you feel so good, and that checks out. That checks out.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It did, like, sometimes it would get me thinking, like, are they really this lucky that they all actually like each other this much and they work together? Like, I've never... Anyway. But yeah, that all happened today, so...
And I don't think we ever talked about, but Adam Rappaport, solid douchebag. Really solid.
Total douchebag. Total douchebag.
And you could tell from any video he was in, he was always so douchey. True.
Yeah, he was douchey. But yeah, the original inciting incident was, like, he pulled some, like, racist behind-the-scenes shit that got, like, that, like, in some private messages that got made public, and then from that it was revealed that he had done basically brown face at like a Halloween party.
I didn't know about the thing before the brown face.
Oh yeah, he was like a total douche to his assistant, his like wildly underpaid assistant.
Oh yeah, then that came out even after that. That was like in that. Then there was a big expose article which I had to berate Erin into reading because it was behind a paywall.
Copy the HTML. Like, create a new HTML file, paste it in because of the paywall.
But yeah, he open
it in a browser and read it that way.
They had a revolving door of like one or two like token people of color working there at a time, but they couldn't hold on to them because they were so like they didn't pay them enough and they didn't listen to them at all. And then also his assistant Ryan, who everyone universally loves. Like, I have not heard anyone say a bad word about Ryan, and God knows it's a fucking lot of work to be somebody's assistant, especially with the stuff that he was making her do, which was a lot of, like, personal life things.
$32,000
in New York City! And he wouldn't give her a raise.
7 days a week. Like, she was like, you gotta stop. I think she told HR, like, can you please make sure he stops texting me on weekends. And he still did it. He was told to stop texting her on weekends and continue to do so.
Yeah. Also, this I didn't totally understand the dynamics of this at first, but I guess she was eligible for overtime when they were working in the office. So she would make a lot of overtime because she was working way too much. And that was basically the way that she was affording her apartment in New York City was because of overtime. So when they all started working from home, she no longer had that opportunity. And that was why she was asking for a raise. Like, she literally hadn't been able to pay her rent in 3 months. And that's when he was like, well, maybe you should consider that this isn't the job for you. Yeah. Like, absolute solid douchebag.
Solid douchebag.
Eat my ass.
But this is the whole thing, right? That, like, this is what we really need to make sure that Condé Nast doesn't get away with. Because at first, I really think the only thing that they expected to have to do was have Adam Rappaport resign. Yeah. And maybe, like, sign Sola up for that contract finally. Like, and then,
did they do that?
And if... No, she's not, they did send her... Did you guys listen to the Sporkful podcast about this? That they actually did an interview with Sola. I'm remembering now. She had been asking for a new contract for a while that like helped, that like indicated all the extra stuff she was doing. And the video guy, Matt Ducker, had been promising it, but kept on saying like, "Oh, it's just tied up in legal. It'll be there, tomorrow, for months." Bullshit. Yeah, exactly. and then the day that and then this also is fucked up. And I actually think I've been frustrated today watching, I understand like this all happened today. Like, we're recording this on Thursday, the 25th of June. So there might be, some of our favorite Bon Appetit stars who are still writing up their responses to this whole situation. But the first two people that I saw to speak out on it on both Twitter and Instagram were yet again the two women of color who are like, the only people who are like front and center at Bon Appetit, and it shouldn't be on them to have to do that. Like, about Hunzi, they were the first people who spoke up, Priya and Sola. So, Carla has spoken up too, but I just haven't seen anything from any of the other ones yet. So that's a little bit disappointing. Yeah. But who knows? It took everybody a while to get their statements, like, ready the first day everything broke, so.
Because Brad was fishing.
There seems to be...
Because Brad was fishing.
Yeah. There seems to be a lot of solidarity between them, and I do appreciate that, but... Good, yeah. It's just...
I just love them.
I know.
What if they all got together and made, like, a fully film? Oh, God.
But yeah, I guess the day that she went public with it all, then suddenly the contract got out of, legal corporate bullshit and ended up in her inbox that day. And so she's pretty insulted by that.
Winky-dink!
Yeah. So they're working out, a lot of stuff behind the scenes, I think. But yeah, I think they were just going to have Adam Rappaport resign and then pretend that solved the problem. And then I think that they even thought maybe just Adam Rappaport and Matt Ducker would be enough. And that's not what... Nobody was asking for
Matt Fucker resign too?
Yeah, he did. Or he was fired. He's gone. And that's good. Those are good things. But, like, that's like, only maybe an eighth of what needs to get done just to, like, set things right for the moment, as well as, like, an ongoing plan of how they're going to stop having a fucking racist culture at their entire company. That's not a big job. That can't happen overnight. I understand that. But they can give their video stars who have been shorted on pay fucking back pay overnight. They could do that pretty quickly. So anyway, feeling very passionate about that at the moment. Cannot believe they did that to Hunzi.
Mom.
Of all the white men they could have punished at that company, the absolute worst possible one. Okay, cool. That's it. That's what I got.
Nice. Love it.
Okay. Anything else before we pop in?
Nope.
Holy shit. Have we been recording for an hour?
Yes. Yeah, I was about to say.
What the hell? What should we do?
Let's just fix it in post.
This has never happened before. I feel like a lot of what we talked about was very valid.
It was. I think what amused me was that 2 weeks ago we did a long episode, and the whole time we were like, oh my god, this is such a long episode. We made a whole big fucking deal out of it. And then the next episode we were like, sorry about that long episode. Thanks for sticking with the long episode. It was like 15 minutes shorter than the episode before that.
I know, there's so much to talk about these days.
There's a lot to talk about. I have no apologies. This is like our own podcast that we do our own self, and we're already like, fuck you if you don't want to listen to it. Listen to what you want. We're actually not like that at all. We're like, great, listen to it or don't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's how I feel about this.
Okay.
You're the one who has to edit, so you tell me. Do you want to... You're great. Do you have an obsession? Do it.
Okay.
That's how I feel.
Do it.
All right, let's do it then.
It did take Molly and I forever to get through last week's episode. I think we finished it like last night when we were cleaning the kitchen. She was like, I think we still have podcasts left. But it was nice. Keeps everything top of mind. Top of the mind.
Yeah. It was a good ep. I feel like the last two eps have been good.
They've been great.
No apologies.
Your parents keep sending us long emails. I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
I'm loving
true.
it.
The email did take a while, so let's blame Mom for that.
Let's blame the United States
email. When you start saying all your words as long as possible, the podcast gets longer.
That's what happens on the Way Too Broad podcast.
That's right. Okay. Len, let's pop in then.
Len. Let's
pop in.
Carte blanche, okay. All right.
Carte blanche. I was gonna talk about this TV show that I've been really liking, but it's already like 2 years old, so it can wait another week. So, what I'm gonna talk about instead is, and it'll be, I think pretty quick because I just have a couple of thoughts I want to get out into the world on it.
Lovely.
Is Jenna Marbles' most recent video, which also just came out today on the YouTube. Ben and I have talked on the podcast about Jenna Marbles before. I've talked about her as an obsession, I believe, her and Julian, and how delightful I find them. And we may or may not have mentioned that there were some aspects of her early, because Jen has been on YouTube since like 2000, since it opened up.
Yeah, she's
shop.
like one of the original YouTubers.
2005, 2007,
wow.
like whatever. Yeah, like there are some things, you know, that she did when she was younger and YouTube was brand new and nobody ever knew it would be possible to get 20 million subscribers, that were like kind of unsavory looking back on them, not like in a nasty way, in an ignorant kind of way. There was one video where she did a Nicki Minaj impression and she looked like she was in blackface. She actually wasn't. She had a really bad fake tan most of the time when she was that age, and she was wearing a pink wig and the pink was making her look even tanner. Like she talked about all this stuff in her video this week, and her apology I thought was outstanding because she didn't make any of those excuses for herself at all. She just said, she showed the clip, like, even though it clearly pained her to do so. Like so the video is basically her saying like, I've been privating videos this week. People have been asking me why. Here's why, because I don't want to have anything out in the world anymore that is going to hurt anyone's feelings or make anybody feel bad about themselves. I know I messed up in the past. I'm going to speak about some specific things. Then she didn't just talk about the things. She showed clips of them, and she just literally was just like, it doesn't matter. Like, I didn't intend to hurt anyone, but it doesn't matter what I intended. And I apologize. And those videos are like private. They're not accessible anymore. And then at the end of it, and I'll talk more about what the other specific things were, but at the end of it, she, surprisingly to me, and I think a lot of people, she said she was, not going to be uploading to the channel anymore for the foreseeable future. She just said,
wow.
like, yeah, she's like, I don't need to, like, basically, like, she's taking a break, essentially. And I think it's probably for a lot of reasons. And I think she also did a really great job not making that seem like it was about herself. She started to get emotional several times during the video, and then kind of like cut to her less emotional because she was like not, like, she didn't want to be saying things through tears and make it, because that kind of makes it about you again. Like she like collected herself, cut out the parts where she was like, you know, not collected, and then like continued on in like a calm voice. And I just thought that was like really well done. I think she's like a really, really great role model for anybody who wants to understand how to like deal with the fact that they've made mistakes in public before. Like, and I'm sad she's not going to be around anymore. But the thing that's been frustrating me this evening is like, she's trending on Twitter right now, which I guess you wouldn't expect anything less, but like the way people are describing Jenna Marbles addresses past problematic videos and announces she will move on from her YouTube channel. That's probably like the least inflammatory of them. But basically, like, a lot of the headlines about this video that just came out have been saying that Jenna Marbles is leaving YouTube because of these things that she did in the past. So like the blackface video that wasn't really blackface, but a lot of people thought it was blackface, and so she was taking responsibility for it. There was another video where she made like a racist joke about Asians during like a rap song about penises, but it wasn't even like the joke you would think it was. It just was like, she used an offensive term to refer to Asian people. It wasn't about penis size even, but like she apologized for that. And then she also said she had like gone and taken down like all of her videos that were like slut shamey, and all of her videos that were like, oh, guys are always like this and girls are always like this. She had like a lot of those when she was younger. And she said like nobody even really complained about those videos, but she just, like, knowing what she knows now, feels like they could be harmful or hurtful.
And she said that those in particular have been eating at her for a while.
So, like, I thought that was really amazing. Like, not only was she, like, taking responsibility for things other people may have called her out for in the past, but she was also, like searching her own, like, heart for other things that are worth taking responsibility for and just kind of laying them all out on the table. And, like, I feel like for a while, Jenna's been kind of, like, ever since kind of the world went to hell, like, who wants to be making weekly videos at a time like this? Like, they're not, you know, and you could kind of see it in the content she was putting out. Not that it was bad, but it just was like, it's like you felt bad for her for feeling like she had to try to make it some weeks, you know? And, like, I'm glad she's taking a break from it. And I think there's probably a lot of reasons, and I don't think any of them are that she's being canceled or feels like she's being pushed off the platform.
This is, like, definitely going to be a big... I hate the term cancel culture, but people are gonna...
No, but it's all over the replies. Right. Like, that's what's very frustrating.
It's so not that.
It's like the opposite. It's completely not. Like, Jenna, like I told you, she has like 20 million followers, or subscribers. Like, she could ignore all of these comments if she wanted to, and nothing would happen to her. Like, she's not... Nobody was actively trying to cancel Jenna Marbles, and if they were, they weren't going to succeed. Like, it's not like, you know, like, she's been around for years and years and years. Like, she didn't do this out of fear at all. Like, I think Jenna's been searching her heart, like many of us have at this time, and she felt like she needed to do this, and the coverage is, like, not covering it that way. And yeah, everybody's like,
and I also feel like
cancel culture is out of hand. Like, that's not what's happening here at all.
Yeah, Kylie and I were talking about this a little earlier because we were talking about, like, you know, there are, like, examples, like, I was thinking of, like, the Justin Trudeau thing specifically, where, like, he did blackface not that long ago at, like, a Halloween party, and it's like, I agree generally with the idea that no one should be judged only by the worst thing they've ever done. But I think with things like this, the most important thing is that you've, like, demonstrated clear growth, and that you've, like, again, it's about the whole conversation of being, like, not racist versus anti-racist thing again, where it's like you really have to demonstrate that you've gone from, like, being actively harmful, and not just to being, like, passively not harmful, but being, like, undoing harm, like, you know, being, like, a showing that you've grown, and being inclusive in your language and everything, and being inclusive with your platform. And I do feel like Jenna is a really good example of someone who, especially over the past few years, has, like, really demonstrated that personal growth.
Yeah.
And I think that, and like you said, like, that's ultimately the reason why she, I think, is taking this break, is because, like, she kept saying, there are two things that stuck out to me about what she kept saying. Like, one of them was about the old content. She kept saying, like, there's no reason that this needs to exist, which I thought was such an interesting way to say it. And the other thing was, she just kept saying, like, I don't want to offend people anymore. Like, I don't want anyone to feel bad or offended when they're watching my videos. And I feel like part of why she's taking this break is to, like, think and more about how she can, like, use her platform to be better than she already has. I
totally got that impression. I think she even sort of indicated that was a big part of why she was doing it. Like, I think it's really hard to think through all those types of things while also, like, not just past racist issues or ignorance issues, but also like how to use your platform properly. I think it's probably really hard to think all of that through and also still have to put out a video every week. You know, like, I think I wouldn't be surprised if she came back on a new channel even with content that was, like, specifically geared at, you know, trying to break down some of these systems that she's played into unknowingly. You know, I think she's doing her homework. And if she doesn't come back, that's also fine, because I also feel like she's taking care of herself in this moment. And you like to see that.
Let her take a break from her job, you know?
Right. It's like a sabbatical.
God, she, like, never takes a break. And there are, like, times where she, like, take a week off, and the next week she's like, thank you guys for letting me do that. And I'm like,
yeah,
I feel so bad. I'm like, just take some time off. Just, like, chill.
Yeah. Yeah. Take care of yourself. I wanted to read, so one thing I was like searching around Twitter on this, I got like, I don't know what happened to me right before we started recording tonight, but I was like replying to comments about this on Instagram and stuff. Like I was like, I sent her a DM just to be like, I support you. Like, I don't know what got into me, but I was looking on Twitter. Like one thing that really jumped out at me was that like a lot of fans of hers who are Black, I didn't see as many who were Asian speaking out, but a lot of them were saying like, first of all, it's no white person's place to forgive her for anything, which I agree with. Like I can say she did a really good apology and I believe that she feels bad, but I can't say like I forgive her. There's like, that's not my place, you know? Mm-hmm. Right. But like, I support her but I was noticing a lot of her Black fans were saying like, they also thought it was a good apology and they also believed her, including Chica, who tweeted a whole thread about her. So I wanted to like read that to you guys because
Chica.
Yeah, it's really
Quick shout out to Chica's amazing Tiny Desk concert.
I fucking watched it again this week.
So good.
It's really good. I thought it was really nice that she chose to use her platform to speak about this, and I think she said it really well, so I wanted to share it. This is what Chica said. I really hope Jenna Marbles comes back, when she's ready, of course, but in a world where people pretend to give a fuck in order to gain profit, she's never made an apology to save face or protect business. She's always meant it, every single time, and that's indisputable. Accountability is important, and I, in my several years of supporting her, have never once seen her apologize and revert back to her past behavior. Accountability isn't simply addressing shit so everyone is at peace, it's becoming better based on correction. She's done that. I cannot stress enough that as a fan with many of the intersections that she could have possibly offended, I have never had to overlook her past to enjoy her content. That says so much and is worth noting. Her platform has felt like a safe place. The YouTubers with the most power do not speak up for marginalized people. Jenna does. They do not use gender-inclusive pronouns when addressing fans. Jenna does. They do not go the extra mile to make sure people feel welcome. Jenna does. I'm sorry to rant, and I don't know her personally, but from what I have seen and what she's presented us, she's always had the best intentions and, at the very least, owned her shit. Influencers like her are an anomaly. That behavior is incredibly important. I want us all to uplift people like Jenna. Fuck it, Jenna specifically, for holding herself to a higher standard and actually maintaining it, for being humble and open-minded enough to learn. Those aren't the people you should run off of platforms. Again, I don't know that anybody ran her off of anything, but yeah, I just thought that was really well put in a lot of ways.
And then some updated tweets. She said, I truly don't care if anyone disagrees with me. I quote from the heart, which I loved. And she also said, I exposed my quiet stand today. I have nary a regret. I just love Chica so very much.
I exposed my quiet stand. Yeah, I was very surprised. I've never seen her tweet about Jenna or at her or anything. So yeah that's yeah, I mean, I was thinking about the time that she got some fish from the fish store, and then she made a video about them, and then people commented telling her that they had done wrong by those fish in following the advice from the guy at the store, and she returned all the fish and made a whole apology video about it, and tried to tell the guy at the store that he was wrong, but he wouldn't listen to them about it. But then she didn't actually take the video down. She put an introduction in it explaining all of this, and that she had given the fish, she had returned the fish and everything, and all of the things that they had done wrong, and then left the video up so that she was still taking responsibility for it and people could learn from her mistakes, basically. Even something she cares about everybody, everything,
When you said you got fish from the fish store, I thought you meant for cooking.
Oh.
That's why she's calling it a fish store.
No, she's a vegan.
Oh, okay. Yeah. She cares about everybody.
She cares about everybody. So we support, I support Jenna. I think Ben does too. I don't know that Erin knows enough about her.
I don't really know Jenna.
But she's great.
I support her if you do.
Yeah. So that's it.
I trust your support. Is Ben having further microphone troubles?
Uh-oh.
No. Oh. Okay, he's okay. Muted. He gave the old good. He gave the old good, baby. Oh, not baby. All good. Bud.
You say baby?
No one said baby. No one said baby.
Gravy,
over here.
baby. He gave the gravy baby sign. Universal. Gravy baby
I was plugging in my computer.
Okay.
Okay. That's it. Just I would also encourage anybody who, like, I feel like the Venn diagram of people who that listen to this podcast and people who would like read the news about Jenna Marbles and care about it is like Kylie, and she barely listens to the podcast. Mm-hmm. But like. I would encourage anyone who has seen news about it and not watched the video to just like go watch the video. And actually, even if you haven't seen the news, I'll link to the video in the description. Like, I think she did a really outstanding job of taking responsibility without making it about herself. And it's just sad to see the news like making it about her anyway, because it was like the opposite of what she wanted. Mm-hmm. But Chica also tweeted, defend good people, defund the police. After she tweeted that.
Love it.
Amazing. What a
artist
icon. Yeah. Okay. All right. Erin, right?
Yeah.
What's your name?
I'm Erin. Nice to meet you. My obsession this week is a documentary film.
Oh, I know what it is.
Yep, on Netflix called Disclosure.
Tell me all about it. I haven't watched it yet.
Ben, have you heard of this?
I've heard the name. I have no idea what it's about.
It is a film made by trans people about transgender, Hollywood's depiction of transgender people and the impact of those stories on transgender lives and American culture.
Whoa, cool.
Yeah, it's great. It's definitely one of those, like, I give it 3 cry emojis out of 3. Definitely one to watch with somebody's hand to hold or a kerchief. But I think
a hand or a kerchief.
A kerchief, yep. A hand kerchief. I think what's special about it, and what folks have been saying is special about it, specifically some trans folks that I've heard, is that it is made by trans people, and all of the people interviewed are trans people. So it's not like, you have any kind of like cis voices weighing in on the trans experience. It's kind of, so it's different sets of interviews with different people, and they break down some like classic depictions of like trans people in Hollywood and films over the years. They kind of like really go deep into like some history about like, maybe not even like specifically trans characters, but like, here's a movie where you have like a cis person dressing as like a cis man dressing as a woman, and it's like very derogatory, and it's used in a specific way. And then you can see this trickle effect of like how it's used to incite fear, and how that's picked up by other filmmakers, and how that's kind of becomes a whole thing, and how these depictions that invoke fear or loathing kind of then translate to the American perception of transgender people. So just like really eye-opening, really sad, uplifting at times. Just like, I want to find the one actress's name. She was actually in that, I had that obsession, Our Tales, Tales of the City. She was in that show and was so good. And she's in this documentary and is incredible. She's just like so smart, and has like one of the most like tear-jerking parts is when she's kind of talking about her experience, and it's just so good and heart-wrenching. I'm gonna find her name before I go any further. But yeah, it's really good. It's not super duper long, but it's eye-opening. And, they talk a lot about, too, something that I found this to be an important watch. I'm still, much as I'm on a discovery about, like, all of my internalized racism, I'm also on a discovery about all my internalized transphobia. And just like, I think this sort of like exposure is helpful in this education, and just like seeing just like these people's real lives and hearing their real stories is incredibly important. And something I hadn't quite ever understood on a visceral level was, I know intellectually, like, cis people playing trans characters is not good. Like, I know that on an intellectual level, but something that was really broken down for me, which I thought was really interesting, was, like, you have these movies where a trans person is played by a cis, actor or actress. And then so Americans see this, or anybody sees them in this role, and then they look at the actor or actress in real life. And, in the case, I think specifically about trans women, because trans women obviously experience a ton of violence. When they see that actor who has played a trans woman in real life, they are, maybe they have a full beard or they look very masculine. Versus when you have a trans woman play a trans character, when we see them in real life, they're still beautiful. They're still, they still are a woman. And so like that sort of like fear that's seated in us that, or, especially for men, that like, a trans woman is just like dressed as a man and, like all of this like terrible stuff is kind of enforced by seeing these two depictions, right? Versus when trans characters actually play trans people, there's this kind of continuity that is established. So I thought that was like really interesting. I had never thought of that.
I don't even think it's just, I don't even think it's just for men. Like, that's if you think about like the stupid debate about bathrooms that's been like so prevalent in this country for the last few years, like, that's about largely like suburban women who for some reason are afraid that trans women are just faking it so they can get into ladies' rooms, because everyone's just like, showing all their private parts in all the ladies' public bathrooms in this fucking country.
Yeah.
I've never walked into a ladies' room and not seen a full vagina, so
that's what I expect. So anyway, yeah. So, yeah, just really good. I feel like there was another kind of point to that. Oh, also just a really good point about that, about, trans people playing trans characters, is that, like, in the case of, like, The Danish Girl, which is a movie that I saw, like, that cis actor playing a trans woman who is a real person, right? The performance was very good, but there was a lot of acting going in to portray transness, whereas a trans actor wouldn't have to have that layer. So just like a lot of really interesting, a lot of interesting stuff, and just like, I think it's just so important to like, as with anything, but especially with oppressed groups, just like listen to their humanity. I mean, that's important with everybody, but like, I think we don't get enough of that like genuine exposure in our daily media consumption, and it's just a shame. I'm trying to find this actress's name.
That's really, really important, because I think it's also like one thing that I've been really working on kind of internalizing more is like, just because a group is marginalized doesn't mean they're monolithic. Like I've been trying to, as I'm diversifying my feed, I'm not just looking for like, Black people with one type of opinion or one type of way of thinking or whatever, like, or, I'm looking to kind of like, find, all kinds of Black people and learn about the whole diversity of the entire, of like, everybody, and I think it's the same with trans people, like, until you realize that they are people just like you and, can be just as, and are just as unique as cis people, you miss out on a lot of the things that make them human.
Yeah, Jen Richards is the actress.
Jen Richards.
Yeah. Really incredible in this documentary. Yeah, so just watch it. Enjoyable, well produced, good history. Loving it.
Bring a hand or a kerchief.
Bring a handkerchief. Bring a hand or chiff.
That's good. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, give it a watch.
Sounds good.
Almost watched it the other night.
Is it a movie or is it a series?
It's a movie.
Cool.
It's a film.
A documentary.
It's a documentary film.
Yeah. Film. It's got a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll watch it. It's on Netflix, right? Netflix.
It's on Netflix. Yeah, I think it's a Netflix. It's a Netflix thing.
Oh, Ridge.
I think Netflix did it.
They really did it.
Yeah, really there was just some interesting too. I didn't realize they talked about. I'm trying to find her name. There's an actress who is transgender and who was Stealth, I guess is the name for it. So had a whole acting career and just never revealed that she was transgender. And I just I feel like that's another thing that's really important to realize, about people who say that they've never met a gay person. Or same thing of people who say well, I don't know any transgender people. You don't know that at all. Right. So
wasn't there was a really famous YouTuber who revealed she was transgender?
Just gonna say, recently there was a really famous beauty YouTuber who came out as transgender, and nobody knew outside of her family. Her fiance knew, and her parents knew, and she's Dutch, and I forget her.
Nikki Tutorials.
Yeah, that's right. Nobody. You don't know. You don't know.
Yep.
Oh, she came out because she was being blackmailed by someone who threatened to make her assign gender public.
Yeah, it was a sad situation.
But
she got a lot of support. So that's good.
I think that's important to keep in mind for everybody. Just because you don't know who, even if you're pro, pro trans, or maybe you don't have an opinion on it, just to keep in mind you don't know who in your life is, so kind of educating yourself on that. That's one of those sneaky things. Obviously it's important for anti-racism training, but also with stuff like this, just to educate yourself on it, just in case somebody you love is, right?
So I had an experience with that the other day, a couple weeks ago, because we have a friend who we play video games with sometimes, but she's a friend of a friend of ours, so we don't play with her all the time. And so we hadn't played with her in probably 5 or 6 months or so. It'd been a while, and we were going to play with her one night, and then my friend was like, "Oh, her pronouns are she, her now." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I just had no idea, and it was just I don't know. Yeah, people that are especially because it may not even be you meet someone who's trans, and I guess I didn't know the term stealth, but you could meet someone who's trans and not comfortable, not out and comfortable with transitioning yet. And it's exactly. the more you sort of even make some kind of disparaging remark, it's you're pushing them back into the closet,
right?
And it's really damaging.
Yeah, I'm just hearing this weird noise in the corner of this room.
Is it?
It's the ghost.
Is that it? It's the ghost.
Hold on 1 second. I need to take my headphone off for a second.
Okay. Yeah, what you just said made me think, too, Ben, that was another one of their points, is transgender representation in media is getting better. It's still very imperfect, but it's getting better, which is obviously so important for young trans people, because a lot of these trans folks looked to their media and saw terrible things.
Right.
And that made them push them really deeper into much deeper into the closet. But we're getting things, even the new L Word. The old L Word had a problematic trans character, but the new L Word I think did a really great job.
And even in the board. In a show like She-Ra, where the representation, especially the queer representation, is amazing for the most part. There's there isn't really an outwardly trans character. The only thing is that there's like a group they meet that are called the Star Siblings that in the original were the Star Sisters, and like the middle child is a man in the new version of She-Ra and is also played by a trans man. But there's like, it's not ever like they have a non-binary character and like that uses they them pronouns as part of the show. They don't have like any sort of like anything about trans people in the show. And I don't mean to nitpick She-Ra on representation. I just mean as an example of like, we definitely still have a long way to go when a show as good as She-Ra in terms of representation still was sort of lacking on in terms of trans stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting also, right? Because like, so trans representation is important, but part of that is telling stories that are not just specifically centered around being trans or being or transitioning. Right. So like, you know, maybe that kind of representation is also good that's and valid and important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little normal. Bit less. Yeah, it's a little bit less kind of obvious when it's a cartoon, but you know that it's voiced by a trans guy is good. Mm-hmm. Anyway, sorry I missed that. I don't know what the noise was, and it did stop when I went over there, so that's weird.
That was the ghost who got embarrassed.
Definitely a ghost. Yeah.
You caught them.
Yeah. In ghost school, they learn you want to be noisy enough so that they don't come over, but as soon as they come over, you've really just embarrassed yourself. Yeah. You might as well quit.
You're actually an embarrassment to all ghosts at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's okay, ghost. It's fine. I'm not... Yeah. I didn't mean to embarrass you. All right, should we now move on to Baby Ben?
I don't know. Should we? We've been going long. I'm just kidding.
It's fine.
I joke.
We had that quick pee, so we're...
Yeah, that's true. I was just thinking about this, like, the whole first will become last thing, the pop and the push, is really, it's really good also because, a lot of times I feel like The Last of Us, ends up having to rush a little bit, maybe, or at least like sort of just feels like they want to. So now it's like it's equal. Like maybe Ben will do this a little faster than he would have at the beginning, but you know, 2 episodes.
It's all
from
part
now,
of the. It's all part of the game.
It's the circle of
Last of Us game.
Yeah,
my obsession is The Last of Us Part 2, as my co-hosts are hinting at. I'll be pretty quick anyway, because I'm not that far in the game.
Okay.
Kylie's farther than I am. She's actually playing it right now. It's, so far, really, really, really good. I like it a lot. So for anyone who doesn't know what The Last of Us is, the first game, I think, came out in 2013. And it's a zombie game, but it's like a super, super story-driven zombie game. So in the first game, you play as the character Joel, and the whole point of the game basically is you're bringing this girl Ellie across the country in sort of this like zombie apocalypse America. It's like I think it's like 10 or 15 years after like the initial outbreak. And the zombies in the game are very cool because they're like based on an actual kind of fungus or something that like can sometimes reanimate dead animals for brief periods of time, I believe, or some shit. Like it's actually like a thing, not as intense, but they like, so it's like a fungus that when the infected get like really, like it progresses over time, and people who infected for a long time have like mushrooms growing out of their head, and they
idiots.
Yeah, they go blind from it, but they use echolocation, so they like click all the time. So those are called clickers. Those are like the really infected ones.
So scary.
Yeah, but it's really, and it's like, it's one of those zombie games where like the zombies are like very obviously like people with a disease that is causing them pain, which like makes you kind of sad to kill them sometimes, because they'll just be like some of them are just like standing there like being in major pain, and you're like, oh man, but you kill me if you see me, so I gotta kill you first.
If you click me.
If you click me. But anyway, in the first game, Joel takes Ellie across the country, and she's like a partner with you the whole game. I think she's 14 in that. And the reason you're taking her across the country, I feel like is it okay? Do you feel like it's okay for me to spoil the first game in order to talk about the second game a little bit? Because it's like...
It came out in 2013.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
So the reason you're taking her across the country is she was bit by one of these infected, and when she was like 13, and it turns out she's immune to the infection. So she has like a bite on her arm, but she's obviously not becoming a zombie. And so you're taking...
That makes a clip I saw make a lot more sense.
Did you see her getting bit?
No. I saw a different clip. I saw a gayer clip.
Oh, yeah. She's also super gay. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
She's...
Skip ahead.
So you take her across the country to this group that is trying to make a cure, like a vaccine, basically. Either a vaccine or also like a cure potentially to revert people that were infected, using Ellie's whatever, like, I don't know. But it becomes revealed at the end of the game that whatever operation they're going to do to get what they need from her is going to kill her. And and as backstory, the very first scene of the game, like the very first cutscene, and like when you're controlling Joel, is like the night the outbreak happens, and he loses his wife and his daughter, and his daughter is like around the age Ellie is when his daughter dies, and so as the game goes on, they grow. Obviously, like at first they start out like very contentious because Ellie's kind of like hot-headed, but they grow together and becomes a very paternal relationship. And Joel, instead of letting her die, basically like kills everyone that was trying to kill her and runs away to his brother's like kind of colonies made in Jackson, Wyoming. And that's like basically where the second game picks up, is the aftermath of that. And there's like a time skip to 4 years later. And you play the second game as Ellie, not as Joel. And actually as a second character. And the cool thing, I didn't even mention, so as you both know, Kylie and I are big fans of Critical Role. And Ellie is played by Ashley Johnson, one of the people in Critical Role. She actually won a BAFTA for playing Ellie for the first game, and obviously she's a much even bigger part of the second game since she's like the main character of it.
Remind me what BAFTA stands for. Is that badass fucking actress?
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
it's it's like a British Association of Film and Theater or something, I think.
Okay. Oh yeah, cool. British Academy for British Acting.
BAFTA. It's really hard to talk about anything else in this game without...
Because you get so emotional?
No, without a major spoiler. But all I can really say is you play as Ellie and you're traveling across the country, actually first to Seattle, and you're traveling with your girlfriend, Dina.
Okay.
Who is really cool, and Ellie's super gay.
Cool.
You'll like to see it.
You love to see it.
You love to see it.
Yeah. You also play as another character who I really like. It's very interesting because, like, in the first game, like I mentioned, like the first cutscene is like Joel's intense emotional backstory, and then like you play the game as Joel, and then the second one, like you play as Ellie, and you went through the whole first game playing with her rather, And then in this one, there's also another playable character who you don't even know her name when you like first take control of her. You know nothing about her. And turns out she's like somewhat of an antagonist, at least as it is so far. And it's like very interesting to like learn about this character by playing her. And that character is played by Laura Bailey, another Critical Role person, which is just cool. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to say too much because, like I said, there's like major spoilies at the beginning that many people like. Have you guys seen how the game is getting like review bombed by a bunch of mad fans, a bunch of angry fans, because like it got like 10 out of 10s from a bunch of different reviews. Like its Metacritic score is like really high for like the official reviews, but then it has like tens of thousands of negative reviews that people did on purpose. Wow. So it's like below, it's like 3 point something. And it's because of a couple, it's because of, I mean, I think mainly it's because of this one spoiler I don't want to say, where people are really mad about something. And it's like one of those things where sometimes I hate fandoms when they're like, they get really mad about a decision they don't like, and they decide that it's like bad writing or bad storytelling because they didn't like it. When it's like, I disagree with that framing. But yeah, it's basically just a lot of shitty fans being mad. It's not really anything like actually, it's not like genuine criticisms of the game, I don't think.
Yeah. Right.
I really enjoy it so far. Kylie's really enjoying it so far. All of our friends that are playing it too are really enjoying it. So I'd say it's pretty damn good.
Are you playing it?
No, I don't have the right game system for it. I was going to ask if there's any plans to stream it, though, Ben.
Oh, maybe. But then I have to bring the PS4 all the way in here. You know how far that is?
Don't make him!
Across this huge apartment.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's
down
so
the hallway.
big.
I have a hallway now.
Oh my god. It's going to be moving all over again.
No, I would love to watch it at some point, because I love watching zombie games, and I am very scared of them.
Me too. I don't like to play it at night.
Wow. Hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, sounds like people should play that.
Agreed.
Maybe when it's been a little while longer, maybe we can talk more about the controversy or controversy.
Yeah, I was kind of asking. I was asking if you were playing it, Hannah, because I wanted to hear the spoilers off pod.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Okay, are you going to be fine with spoilers though?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's do that.
I don't watch zombie games for the plot. Yeah. Okay. So good. Then that's that. So should we do homework? Is there anything else you want to say about it, Ben? I do feel like we gave you like a woefully short time.
It's fine. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to spoil really anything, so I don't want to talk about it too much other than just say that it's really good.
Okay, cool. Part 2. All right, neat. Well then, homework. Then my homework is go watch Jenna Marbles videos. Anything in the last 5 years is very unproblematic and warm and soothing and wonderful. Pretty much anything that she hasn't privated already is probably a very safe bet. And then also, if you're starting to hear news about it and you want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, I will put a link to I'm pointing down like it's going to be in the description of a video. Do you guys see that?
Click up here to subscribe.
Click here.
Rate and review down here.
I will put a link to the it's called, what is it called? A Statement. The video that she put up that has generated all this news. And just, support Jenna Marbles and unsubscribe from Bon Appetit in all the ways you can. Don't give them your money or your views until they do right by their employees. I'm on Twitter at Anthropology, Instagram at Anthropology, and that's it. Erin, what's your homework?
What up? My homework is to go to Netflix and watch the documentary Film Disclosure. It's just great, and it has important history and has important stories from people who are transgender and about their lived experiences, and we are just blessed to get those. So check that out. My Twitter's at Erin Byrne. I review lesbian movies and other media at Lesbian Movie Reviews. And I think that's all for me, folks.
Nice. Ben, what's your homework?
My homework is to play The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2. I also think that, like I said, it's very story-driven. So I think people have, like, cut together all of the cutscenes into, like, a pseudo-movie on YouTube. I think I've heard of that. I haven't watched that because I played the game. But apparently you can, like, watch that and get, like, a pretty great idea of the story. So, I don't know. If you don't feel like playing it, maybe you can do that instead.
Sounds like a pretty great idea.
My Twitter is Nicely Proved Ben. My Twitch is Disco Greg.
Cool. If
and
you
he's
want,
not going to drag his PS4 all the way in there, so don't even ask.
Stop freaking asking me.
Stop freaking asking.
Yeah, I'm making beans.
Yeah, I'm making beans. I just yell that every time I'm making beans.
Yeah. Oh, we kind of have stopped because we've been making beans so much, but we should start doing that again. Mm-hmm. If you want to call us and leave us a voicemail, you can do that at 774-326-0420.
Blaze it.
Blaze it. But don't dial blaze it.
Blaze it.
If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do that at 2BroadPod. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can do that at Way Too Broad. If you want to email us, you can like Aunt Brown did this week. Shout out again to Aunt Brown.
Again.
You can do that at waytoobroad@gmail.com. And if you missed any of all those things, or if you want to find the links that we've been saying we're going to drop in the description of this video, you can do that at waytoobroad.com.
On video.
It's not a video. Technically, it will be on YouTube as a video, but I don't know. I don't think it loads the description of the episode underneath the video. I'm not sure, actually. We'll see. I'll check. Okay, waytoobroad.com for anything you want. earnben.com for anything you need. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you. We love you. Maybe someday we will have an episode that's not pushing 2 hours again, but there's a lot going on, and we're not sorry, and we love you. And the podcast candle. What? No, the podcast candle is now extinguished.
What?
I mean, you made a noise like you're going to start talking.
Yeah, you did.
I did?
Yeah, you went...
Yeah, you did.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry.